Some years ago, the nativity crib in one of Australia's cathedrals was vandalised. The statue of the baby Jesus was smashed into pieces. And rather than replace the statue, the Archbishop instructed that all the broken pieces be gathered together into a basket and placed in front of the altar in the middle of the sanctuary. It had a very powerful impact on people, with hundreds visiting the cathedral each day in the lead up to Christmas. Hundreds who simply came to kneel in silence. And yet the image that confronted them somehow gave them a greater sense of the reality of Christmas and the reality of human life. Because it's into a broken, upset, disrupted, messy, chaotic world that God came in the person of Christ. And it began to make much more sense to people that God chose not to sit in heaven in some great glory, but rather come down and live in the mess. The image also spoke to people about their own lives, because parts of our lives might be broken or in a mess or even destroyed. And people began to appreciate with greater clarity that Christ makes everything whole again. That Christ makes things new again, which is the joy and the truth that we celebrate at Christmas. Because at Christmas we desperately want to believe that things will change for the better. That there is something worth living for, worth waiting for, worth struggling for, worth hoping for. We want the world to be a kinder place, where people stop being cruel to each other and instead reach out and see others as a brother or sister. We want the light of Christmas to make a difference to the countless victims of the world, the poor, the helpless, those who have no voice. We want peace on earth and goodwill to all people. And for ourselves, we want to live better lives, to be happier and more content. But beyond all of that reality, beyond all of the mess and chaos of life, the greater tragedy is if we lose hope. So I say to you this morning, there is no hope like the hope that lies in the crib of Jesus. It says to us that tragedy, pain, and all that's wrong with the world does not have the last word. This morning, leave your despair behind and find hope in the strength of the Christ child. It's been a tough year. In some ways, it's been an awful year. Perhaps even the last 3 years. But this morning is the time to leave the despair behind. And more than that, bring with you whatever difficulties or burdens that you're carrying and lay them at the crib. Say to the infant Jesus, yes, I want the gifts that you give. The gift of your light, the gift of your life, the gift of your peace, the gift of your love. They are the true gifts. Say to Jesus, yes, I want them. Because at Christmas, what begins in the simplicity and the intimacy of the crib will end in new life, new possibility, and new